Hi, everybody. My name's Nick Weber with Bayer Crop Science Channel Seed here, and we're trying something new to do a little bit of a TA know-how or a TA info session, agronomist info session with three of our agronomists from across the country. We have Katherine Rod from up in Northern Illinois. We have Todd Vagts from Southeast Minnesota, and then we have Andy Swanson from over in Nebraska. So welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining today. All right, let's get going. First, I'm going to kind of recap a little bit of 2024 with you guys, and we'll do Katherine first. So Katherine, up in your neck of the woods, what were some of the things you and your farmer customers and seed pros experienced during the course of the growing season, and some of the things you learned about it?
Yeah, so 2024 was one for the books. We had a pretty warm winter and warm early spring. So, we got a lot of early tillage work done. We got a lot of nitrogen on early for that. We got planting right away in mid-April, but then we had a rain break right there at the very end of April, first part of May, that we were out of the field for about 2 weeks. And so we had two distinct planting dates here, the April, and then we didn't really get back in until after Mother's Day in May. Once we were able to get back in May, things went pretty smoothly once we let things dry out. June and July were really great growing conditions, ample rainfall, good temperatures. Crop looked real good. Looked pretty good going into August. However, August and September were very dry, and harvest was actually here before we knew it, and sooner than it normally is. So harvest for us was really dry. We had some of the driest moistures most people have combined in a long time. So harvest was quick and efficient, and a lot of people were done before November, and everybody was basically done by Thanksgiving. So the year went very quickly for us here.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to come back to the planting day stuff in a little bit here, but switching over to Todd. Todd, what about your 2024? Minnesota was fairly wet and then turned off the spigot all of a sudden. Can you talk about your year up there?
It was, as you said, wet is probably the biggest component of what we saw this year. Similar to Katherine, we had a couple different planting dates. Following a very warm winter, we got a lot of corn and soybeans in mid-April. Rained and then finished up early to mid-May planting. But the biggest story was all the precipitation that we had, really starting mid-May all the way through July. Broke precipitation records across most of Minnesota. Fortunately here in southeast part of the state, we do have more rolling ground here, so a lot of that precipitation ran off. But so it wasn't as bad as what we would have seen in central Minnesota, where a lot of it is tiled and so forth because of its being flat. But similarly turned very dry as we got into late July, August, and September. And like Katherine, it was many of our customers started beans all the way through corn without a single rain delay. So it was pretty unique in that sense. But here in southeast Minnesota, corn yields were very good, where we didn't have some diseased issues with tar spot. Soybean yields were more average. But again, it was a record fast harvest pace, and most people were pretty happy with that.
Good deal. Andy, how about you over in Nebraska? What was the story of the year for 2024?
Yeah, I tell you what, corn producers specifically felt like Mike Tyson in his last fight. It was just kind of punch after punch after punch, and we just had to stand there and take it. Some guys got started early in April and made it ahead of the rain events. We had some 10+ inch rain events here in Nebraska, which, just like everybody else said, delayed planting. What was planted maybe got cut out of the hills and washed down the road. But, and then, we finished up with one of the driest falls on record in the last, 132 years since we've been keeping records. August through October, it was the driest year on record. So, critical grain field period. And that made it, or what we thought was going to be tough. And then we had some southern rust, some tar spot really blow up that we don't typically see. But I tell you what, through all that, I was really amazed with the yields that we ended up with. So.
Yeah, let's stay with you here, Andy, while we're front and center. Some of the discussions around diseases you mentioned, southern rust in your area was pretty heavy this season. You maybe mentioned some of the diseases you guys in Nebraska have dealt with this season. Maybe the pest, the main major pests or diseases that you guys encounter, and certainly how that played a role in things, but maybe some of the things that you guys have learned from the season as well.
It was interesting. In the last couple of years, we've been talking about white mold and soybeans and gull midge and dectus stem borer, and I don't know. They all took a vacation this year. Really wasn't an issue. And then we did have southern rust blow in pretty bad, which we haven't seen it this bad since I don't know. Probably at least the last 10 years. We haven't seen it like this. It blew in kind of right as county fairs were firing up. So into July, early August, which is pretry early. Luckily, it sat there, except for our irrigated acres, which in some cases we had dryland fields out yielding our irrigated acres this year, which is pretty unheard of. But
yeah,
create that microclimate and the disease takes off. So, but yeah, it was an interesting year. I hope we don't see another one like it.
Good deal. Over to Katherine. What about you guys in Northern Illinois? What were some of the tar spot was sort of the center of tar spot universe for the longest time. What were some of the diseases you guys encountered over there?
Yeah, so we did have some tar spot. Luckily, it came in a little bit later, and I think that was contributing to our drier August. So while we had rain, June, first part of July, really didn't have enough leaf moisture as we went into late July, August to really ramp up production. And also we had a lot of guys apply a fungicide. And so we've shown that a fungicide application at that R1 timing really helps mitigate a lot of that tar spot pressure early in the grain field period. And so when tar spot really came in to set in late, it was in that later August, early September timeframe. And by that point, most of our corn was really close to black layer with how quickly everything was going through grain fill and drying down this year.
So if there's one time to get the tar spot, that was the best time to get it, if you will, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Todd, what about you over in Southeast Minnesota? What were some of the big things you guys dealt with from a disease perspective?
Yeah, tar spot was by far our biggest issue. But fortunately, it was only about 3 to 4 county area in the geography that I'm in. But where it did hit, it was extremely significant. Cutting corn yields down in half, where we did not see fungicide applications. But it was a very good learning experience for many in this particular geography as to what fungicides can do, the foliar fungicides. We saw some great performance out of Delaro Complete, particularly in comparison to some of the other fungicides that are out there. And but yeah, we had it come in late June, early July in those geographies, and it just never stopped all the way through the rest of the season. So tar spot was by far the biggest factor. We did have southern rust come in, which is extremely unusual for our geography. So that was somewhat significant on corn. And then we did have some geographies with white mold and soybeans, but again, nothing atypical there. But tar spot is something that we've dealt with in the past, and was definitely a big issue for us again this year.
Yeah.
Hey,
Todd.
Off, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Todd, we definitely had some learnings when it came to disease this year, and like double application of a fungicide. With the corn prices where they were, guys were having a hard time pulling the trigger on that. But the guys that did spray twice with the amount of disease that we had between the tar spot and the southern rust, we were seeing 40 to 50 bushel swings. The guys that did that and did not. So
wow, yeah.
Lots of learning.
Yeah, for sure. Even these tough years, we're always learning something, right? So every year is different, as they all say, and 24 was certainly that camp. Stay with go back to Todd here for a minute. What are some of the best products you saw from a corn and bean perspective? Maybe if you can give me your top 2 or 3 that you personally saw or most excited about, and maybe some of the feedback you heard from your seed pros, channel seed pros, and customers. What were some of those 2, 3, 4 products that you're super excited about from 24 that you're looking forward to for a big year in 25?
Well, it's been kind of exciting. We had a new trait introduction with our VT4P lineup with the RNAi technology for below ground rootworm protection. And it's been fun to watch many of those products. Their performance has just been extremely good. We got a really nice 101 day, the channel 20140 VT4P rib. Just had some phenomenal performance. Another 103 day, the channel 20340 VT4P rib product also is just extremely good. And then we have a newer 105 day, the channel 20508. It's both in the Tricepta and in the SmartStax Pro version. Performance was just phenomenal. So in many areas, it was, we were top in the upper 200s to 300 bushel field averages, which again, for our geography is just unheard of. And so those are some really exciting products that we observed, at least on the corn side.
Okay. Katherine, what about you? What are maybe 2 or 3 corn products that you're super excited about?
Yeah, so we also, like Todd, we also had really good luck with the new trait package of VT4 Pro with that RNAi technology. And so the product that really performed really well for us here was channel 21263 VT4 Pro. And that product was really fun to see out in plots. It really performed well and exceeded our yield expectations for that product and really ran with the big dogs. So I'm very excited to see how that will perform again in 25. The other one that's worked really well for us is 21570 Tricepta. We had that out on a good amount of acres this year, and wow, it was fun to walk those fields, get those yield reports out of those combines. That product just performed really well this year for us. On the soybean side, the earlier maturity groups for us worked better compared to the later maturity groups. So we had really good luck with XtendFlex, the 2824 XtendFlex soybeans, and then the 3322s XtendFlex soybeans. Those performed really well this past year. We were well into the 70s, if not hitting in the 80s for bushel per acre. So we had a really good bean year this year.
Awesome. Good deal. Andy, what about you? What are the best products this season in your neck of the woods?
I tell you what, I wish that we would be able to use 21570 here in Nebraska and 21263. They look like fantastic products, but between the green snap risk and the Goss's wilt, it's just something we can't use here. So, but what was working well, and I tell everybody that says this, so I guess if this is going out to the universe, everybody is going to know that 21202 Double Pro is my favorite hybrid. So always looking for that to get unseated. I tell you what, it's kind of poorly rated on Southern Rust, but it's still yielded through all the disease and had a phenomenal year. And then on the VT4 Pros, 21240 really separated itself, especially on the irrigated acre. And one thing that was interesting, so, we talked a little bit about the diseases and everything and insects that were going on. One thing was Western bean cutworm here definitely continued to move further east than we've ever seen it in Nebraska. And 20454 Tricepta was one. Anything that had Tricepta in it this year. It was probably 4 to 5 bushel difference having Tricepta versus not having it this year. So wow, that one really shined on the earlier season for us. And then on the soybeans, yeah, on the Connect side, the 2424s had a phenomenal year. Didn't really matter irrigated or dry land. And then saw another strong performance on the XtendFlex lineup out of 2824s. Just sits right in that sweet spot for maturity and does its thing all day long.
So we're sitting at the end of 24, getting ready to go into 25, start another growing season. What are some of the things your customers for Channel and the seed pros that they're kind of getting excited about as they get ready to get on another growing season here?
Yeah, so we are looking forward to putting more of those VT4 Pro type products out on a wide variety of acres and getting a good representative of how they are going to work out in the countryside. And then we're also getting real excited for the brand new products that are coming forward that we will see in plots this year. We're really excited to see the new yield potential that is coming forward with each new breeding class.
Yeah. Andy, what about you? What's getting excitement out in central Nebraska? Eastern Nebraska, sorry.
Well, I tell you what, we just had our seed pros together in Lincoln yesterday from across the state. We had our winter meeting, got in front of them with some of our breeding team, and talked a little Channel Edge with them, and even had Reed Seed, the guys come up out of Kansas and talk about, what their plot strategy is and how to make that, part of their business. And so always looking for more plot cooperators. So I'll use this as a shameless plug. We're also always looking for plot cooperators. But speaking of that, this last year in plots, one of the new products, 20970, was really shining. And so pretty excited to see that one in field. Lots of buzz around that one.
Yeah. Todd, how about Southeast Minnesota? What are you guys most excited for up there?
Well, I think one of the more exciting things that we talk about when we're out with our customers is our Prestion short corn. We've just had phenomenal performance with our short corn products here over the last couple of years, and I guess many of our customers are just really excited to see how they continue to perform. And in my geography, we also have a fair amount of dairy and silage, and we've seen just really nice performance of these products on the silage side and for dairy quality silage. So that's something that we often get pretty excited talking about when we're out in the field with customers and kind of seeing where we can go with next with these newer products and seeing how they're going to perform against our tall products in that sense.
So Katherine, when we talk about multi-year data and plots, it was 24 was kind of a sporadic season for many farmers across the country. Certainly certain areas had good ones, but the importance of kind of looking at multi-year data, is that something you guys stress upon farmers when you're having some of these tougher discussions? Or I shouldn't say that. Is that something, multi-year data, something you tell farmers to look at when they're kind of making some of those product choices?
Yeah, I think multi-year data is an important way to, it's important to have and to help you evaluate hybrid performance and then anything across your farm as well. So every year is different, but when you average 3 years together, you kind of get a good representation of what has happened and what probably could happen for weather patterns in the future. And so I always like to look at 3-year data, especially when it comes to product performance. And my general rule of thumb is if that product is in the top third of plots for 2 to 3 years in a row, you have a phenomenal product. And that is something that you should potentially consider for your acre on your farm.
Andy, how do you, when you're looking at multi-year plots and the importance of the data piece, how do you help coordinate or collaborate with your seed pro to help a customer, guide them through that decision-making process when it comes to putting the right product on the right acre?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about having the conversations. I tell you what, one thing I said yesterday at our meeting was all agronomy, just like politics, is local. And it really boils down to that. We try to bring the bigger picture, from statewide or region-wide. Hey, here's some products that are working good. And then, by really knowing the local geography, the local fields, bringing it down to that. And so, as guys' operations, I shouldn't say guys, but as people's operations continue to get larger, right? Fewer farmers farming more acres. I mean, they're really looking for that consistency in products, not just one that maybe could hit a home run or maybe end up being a 50% green snap claim. So the consistency in those products year over year, just like Katherine said, is ultra important for anything we do locally.
Yeah. And then Todd, just if you can kind of speak to like delivering that confidence when you're having that conversation with the seed pro and a customer, what's that look like when you're having that conversation?
Well, you bet, and I think as we look at the past couple of years, we looked at 2023 were, many areas we had about 8 inches total precipitation for the season. This year we had 8-inch individual rainfall events, so a lot of variability. And as we look at product performance, it's really, what are those products that are going to perform from one year to the next across those, that amount of variability. And unfortunately, we have a lot of products that can do that, and it really shows that being able to pull multiple year data across multiple locations, and it really shows the value that both our customers and our seed pros, that shows the value of the work that they do when they put in plots and make sure that the plots are good and they're getting planted good, harvested good, and evaluating those plots all throughout the season so that you have good information on them. And then utilizing that information over those multiple years. I mean, the confidence that it can instill both in ourselves and our seed pros and our customers is really invaluable. So it really shows all the work that we go through each and every year to get this data and to be able to utilize it from one year to the next.
So when we think about the Channel brand, it's gone through a kind of a relaunch here in the last year. So what are some of the things that, Katherine, starting with you, what's that Channel experience look like in your eyes, or at least in your neck of the woods up in Northern Illinois?
Yeah, so with the bringing of the regional brands and channel brands together, we have added agronomic support to each of our seed pros. And so there are now more TAs, so we can spread, you have more individual attention as a seed pro with your agronomist compared to 2 years ago when both brands were separate. And so I think that is a big advantage to being a channel seed pro. And this new model is that there is additional agronomic support, and we are able to bring you more characterization, more product knowledge, help walk those fields with you, help your customer, and really have that hands-on experience that customers are looking for with channel.
Yeah. Andy, what about in Nebraska? What's that channel experience look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year bringing the brands together. I mean, I think we had over 300 corn hybrids between the Legacy Channel and Legacy Regional brand. So, it's been interesting kind of parsing that out. But I tell you what, the good hybrids, good varieties always rise to the top. And yeah, I mean, a lot of what Katherine was saying. I mean, here in Nebraska, the Fontenelle brand had one TA covering the entire state. And so, having somebody show up in person and not just be a phone call, I think has meant a lot to our dealers and to the growers.
Yep. Todd, anything else to add there?
Yeah, I mean, very similar, bringing those two, the brands together and the products that we have to choose from. As mentioned, we had about 300. Well, I think we've narrowed it down to 290 now. So we're still in that process of figuring out the best of the best, but it's a fun process because we got a lot of really good products. And as mentioned, we were spread pretty thin on the agronomy side. Now we all have probably the smallest territories that we've ever had, really being able to go on individual farms and spend the time that we need to. So it's a really exciting time, I think, both for me and our customers in that sense.
Todd, what are you most excited about as we head into 25? What are you kind of looking forward to?
Well, as always, it's a brand new year, and there's going to be new challenges and new things to do. We got a great lineup of products, as already mentioned, and so I'm just super excited to get those new products out, see how they perform, start getting all these test plots lined up, and working with our customers and our seed pros, and that's always a fun and exciting thing each and every year.
Andy, how about you? What are you most excited for as you head into 25?
Every year is a new reset. So we had the struggles and wins that we had in 24, but we've got 26 products that we're evaluating in plots for launch in 26, and so it's always a fresh set of challenges, and I always look forward to this time of year.
Katherine, how about 25 for you? What's got you most excited?
Mine's pretty similar to Todd and Andy's. I'm really excited about flipping that calendar, and 2025 is a fresh new start for us. I'm excited to get those class of 26 products out into test plots and really see yield potential in that. And I'm excited to see what kind of yield potential we can get with our current class of products and see if we can even beat 2024 yields in 2025.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you all joining today. It's been fun, and looking forward to having the conversation and hoping you guys have a good kickoff to 25 as we get going. So thank you.